game. Quite a few of these players are vying their spots onto pro rosters, either in the NBA or overseas, and quite a few of them will be able to accomplish that dream.
And Kenny Hall right there, really nice job of bodying up and turning Robinson's hook shot into a shot outside of the paint, not allowing him to get position.
And he's got all the size, as mentioned, to score on both ends of the floor, offensively and also stymie their opponent on defense. Josh Blaman connects a three. We're all tied at 8 early.
And there's a nice rhythm to this game. It looks like these players have finally really gotten into a groove and are starting to play like themselves. It's a tough format to get used to.
I'm sure you've noticed, Andy, yet again, Bryce Presley's good. Make it 3 for 3 from the field. But I'm sure you've noticed, until these first couple minutes, the defenses have dominated Session B.
Oh, absolutely, and especially early in ball games, it's taken quite a while for teams to feel each other out.
Kenny Hall snares the offensive rebound, but missed that one short, as Giovanni Robinson had some pinpoint defense. Catch and toss that time by Matola, and he missed it short. A great pace, as Andy mentioned, here in this first quarter. That'll be just the first turnover for Pointstreak. Or I'm sorry, it was tipped, so it'll stay with a Pointstreak. So that is obviously a storyline which we will keep track of throughout the remainder of the ball game as Josh Blaman misses the three. Throughout the first 2 games, Andy, Pointstreak has committed 46 turnovers. That's the most of any team in a 2-game stretch in this tournament. So that's been their one Achilles heel. They've been dominant in just about everything else. Josh Blaman to the basket, and he scores. Back and forth we go. A couple lead changes early. MR Smorts leads by 1. It's been a great start on the offensive end against 2 of the top 4 defenses in the GBSL tournament. Yet again, Bryce Presley good from downtown.
3 threes so far in the first 4 minutes of this game. Someone needs to close out and chase him off the three-point line.
And what's even more spectacular is Bryce Presley in the first 2 games was just 2 for 7 from three-point range. That's 29%. It's a good way to get back on track. He also, if you add in his mid-range touch, he uses 2 for 15. So he was really struggling from anywhere but close to the basket. Josh Blaman will be credited with the block, but it will stay with MR Sports as we have a whistle and our media timeouts. What a start, Andy, between 2 teams that are amongst the best in this tournament on defense. But it's been no match so far.
Well, I would say this, at least for MR Sports, a team that I've seen twice. You've seen Pointstreak twice, so we both have gotten a good look at these teams.
Yeah.
MR Sports played a scouting for you team yesterday that really struggled to score and took advantage of that fact, just playing solid defense all around. And against the Southern Stars, perhaps the MR Sports let one get away. But you definitely see, and we'll see when Alonzo Nelson-Odota comes in. He's a very strong interior defender. Cameron Bennerman has been an experienced guy, almost 10 years in the pro ranks. So you don't really have a weak link I can point to specifically on MR Sports. It's a nice combination of guys looking to compete, communicate, and just fill in the cracks where needed. And I've been impressed defensively from this MR Sports team, coached by Nino Sanfilippo.
Right. This may be a battle between 2 1-1 teams, and we just saw the championship game go to overtime, so we know that one was a good contest. But this may be, or at least has the makings, as being the best game of the day. As a mid-range floater is up and good by Cameron Betterman. He's been averaging around 13.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Not half bad. Cameron Bennerman in the lineup. Get off to a good start. Blaman shot is blocked. That's Giovanni Robinson who swats it away. And MR Sports, they got another transition bucket as Aaron Bacote takes it to the rack.
Aaron Bacote is so good at just making the plays that he's supposed to make. He plays within himself very well.
Emmanuel Agunfalu was 63% from beyond the arc in the first 2 games, but is 0 for 2 to start this one today. Both clubs are jacking up threes on a pretty regular basis. MR Sports, led by Bryce Presley, has been able to knock them down with regularity. Presley throws to the corner, but that shot is off by Bacote. And all alone is Agunfalu, and he lays it in.
And we've seen a lot of him. He's been to both sessions. He's a very talented player. And he's got a really good face-up game, and he's got a lot of guard skills packed into his frame of being a big guy in the front court.
Yeah, Emmanuel Gunfalou in Session A averaged 18 points on 57% shooting. And a championship level club, D Las Vegas Casino. A foul away from the basket. That'll go on number 10 of MR Sports, Giovanni Robinson, the 6'9" center. He's got a load of size, and so far there's been no coincidence that Pointstreak has struggled in certain aspects of scoring down low.
And I would say that's a good foul to give there by Giovanni Robinson. No team fouls yet. He'd already conceded position deep in the paint. Give it and just do it again.
Emmanuel Gunfalou can score from long range when you give him enough touches. That is a 3-ball for Gunfalou, and MR Sports lead is cut down to 3. 18-15 the tally, 3:48 left to go in what has been a very entertaining first quarter. Another catch and shoot, that time by Alonso Nelson Ododa, who has yet to make a three-pointer in this tournament, and he misses that one there. Samaje Ainge leans in and is able to score in traffic, and Pointstreak grabs the lead for the first time in this quarter. And a loose ball foul called on number 1 of MR Sports, or I'm sorry, of Pointstreak, Roger Lopman. You mentioned you talked about MR Sports. I'll give you something on Roger Lopman. He is a pest on defense. He's only 6 foot, $195. His stat sheet does not read too much. He's only made 1 field goal in 2 games, but he starts every contest because of his tenacity on the defensive end, and that is why this team is amongst the best in this tournament in scoring defense. While the offenses have gone off to a remarkable start, boy, it's only a matter of time before we start to see some of these defenses begin to buckle down.
And it's hard to say anything for certain about any of these teams because of the sample size. That word, you hear it, and it's just very small. And the conditions aren't what you're used to seeing, especially a lot of times guys coming out of college in a team context where success is measured in that way. It is an adjustment to try to fit in and have your skill set mesh with a bunch of other guys you've met just for the first time a few days ago.
Right. Yeah, if we happen to judge the Cleveland Cavaliers after Game 2 of the NBA Finals, I'm sure we wouldn't be looking at them as nearly a bright a light as obviously after Game 7.
Absolutely true.
Kenny Hall is hacked and fouled. That'll go on Giovanni Robinson for his second personal. The interesting part of this tournament is it takes you 10 personal fouls to get fouled out of this game. So obviously, if that happens to you, then you've got nobody to blame but yourself. Kenny Hall will go to the free throw line as Pointstreak has an array of big men on the floor and none more talented than Emmanuel Gunfalou, who picked up 27 points on 11 of 15 shooting yesterday, including 3 of 4 shooting from beyond the arc. That's just numbers that you rarely, if ever, see out of a big man, let alone a point guard or a shooting guard. We are all tied at 20 between MR Sports and Pointstreak. At least on paper, these teams match up amongst any team in this tournament, maybe the 2 best or amongst the 2 best in all of Global Basketball Summer League. As Presley was trapped but able to get rid of it, beautiful toss of the corner, and Nelson Ododa drills the long-range jumper. That'll count as a 2-pointer, and MR Sports snares the lead again, 22-20.
And the purpose of this tournament is to show off your skills, and if you as a big man can knock down that corner shot consistently, especially that being a 3, it certainly can benefit you in finding a career.
Yeah, Kenny Hall now a chance for a 3-point play. You see these players trying to work their way onto professional rosters, and Emmanuel Gunfalou seems to be well on his way. If this man can get going, it appears that Gunfalou is beginning to catch his rhythm scoring the basketball. Is there anyone on MR Sports, as far as their big men, that can slow him down?
Well, Manny certainly is in a groove early in this game, but I would argue that Ododa has the stuff that it takes to really do that. And a lot of times when you're dealing with a scorer, especially someone who's hot like him over the past couple of days, it's a team effort defensively. A lot of it hinges on communication, rotation, and making up for each other wherever you can, and ending each possession with a defensive rebound on the first shot. Those are important things to always consider when you're dealing with someone like a Gunfalou, who has a frame as big as he does, and it's going to take a team effort to slow him down, the professional from Bolivia.
Well, maybe MR Sports didn't face Emmanuel Gumfulu yesterday, but that team defense worked, and their 69-61 victory amongst the lowest scoring output for any team in the GBSL tournament. 61 points, that's it, and a good scouting for you basketball team. And one man who really stole the show in that ball game was the former Old Dominion Monarch, Aaron Bacote. He had 20 points and made all 3 of his 3-point attempts.
You know what really impresses me about Aaron Bacote is the fact that in the first game he had 4 points on 1 of 6 shooting. They lose Tyler Harris for game 2, and someone needs to score more. And Bacote steps into that role, knocks down 3 threes in the second half, and they walk away with a win. Very mature, and he just fills in the cracks where needed.
And folks may be looking at this crowd here that's filled up quite a bit of scouts at the professional level and other talent evaluators, and may be thinking, well, what's the pressure in this game? There is a load of pressure on these players and these coaches in not only this game, but all of the games. Win or loss, a lot hinges onto the performances of these players.
Oh, yeah. Scouts, agents, decision makers, general managers, coaches, all of the above are in this building or watching online and archived on YouTube, so there certainly is eyeballs at this event.
Well, MR Sports as a team has done a great job so far scoring, and not so much in the last couple minutes. The beautiful drive inside by Lewis leads to the foul, and he'll head to the free throw line as Frank Snow, who did not play in Game 1 and only had 19 points off the bench in Game 2, he commits his first personal.
We had an official go up into the stands. And one nice
Didn't even notice that.
One nice thing about this tournament is every game is crewed by 3 officials. In this game in particular, 4 officials. So one just steps right in, and there's no drop-off.
Yeah, I actually did happen to compliment one of these officials after a ball game 2 days ago, and this man mentioned, that's the first time I've ever been complimented. First, I think that's kind of sad. But second, that shows just the level of expertise these officials need just to avoid criticism. I mean, we have seen countless times officials get quite a few calls right, one of them wrong, and they're criticized or maybe even lose a job over that one. MR Sports leads 24-21. Kenny Hall misses the 2. The ball's poked away, but that will stay with Pointstreak with 1:44 on the clock and a fresh shot clock as well.
And I had a conversation with George Tolliver of the NBA earlier this week, and the point they're trying to get through to is 95% accurate. That's what you see a lot of times in the NBA.
Yeah.
And they do have a lot of analytics behind the scenes that they do take into account when evaluating their own guys.
Pretty solid officiated game. Not too many fouls and not too many turnovers. Catch and shoot by Devontae Lewis. That's no good. A rebound picked up by Yuri Leith of Pointstreak. And he turns it over. A couple turnovers right away by Pointstreak, and that's Bryce Presley who will respond with a beautiful lay-in. It's MR Sports up by 5.
Presley, 13 points, and I don't think he's really forcing anything. He's letting the game come to him, and he knocked down the open threes he had and just scored in transition.
Yeah, you mentioned the 3 3-pointers to start the game, but he's not done there, just in the first quarter. 1 minute remains here in the first. And Frank Snow launches up a brick. It didn't even come close to hitting the rim. Presley throws up ahead. That finds Tyler Harris. And he'll reset the offense. No, jacks up a 3 goes Harris. That's no good. And Snow almost lost the rebound out of bounds. Picked up by Julian Edelman with 40 to shoot. And he's good. That's a nice jumper by Julian Nelson from 15 feet out. 30 seconds remain in the first quarter with 16 left on the shot clock. Man-to-man defense for Pointstreak here. MR Sports has shot about 60% from the field in this quarter. And the feed outside goes to Alonzo Nelson Odota, who has made 2 mid-range jumpers so far. He's got 4 points.
Now, he's a long, rangy defensive player, able to get in the pick and roll as you see there, and has a little bit of a jumper. Could fit into a couple different European games.
And Frank Snow, the big man, nails it from downtown. 5 seconds left in the first quarter. We are tied at 26. He's trapped. Kicks out to Harris. He'll drive. And his pass leads to Nelson Odota's jumper, but it wouldn't have counted anyways. And at the end of the first quarter, neither defense catching too much rhythm as MR Sports leads by 2. Andy Stanko and Nick Rice on hand here from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Let's take this quick timeout to take a look at what happened earlier today in game number 1 at the early Rise and Shine time of 9:30 a.m. Scouting for You pulled off a double-digit win, 92-82 over the DMV All-Stars led by Jamal McClurlin of Austria, who put up 13 points per game in this tournament and finished second in the entire GBSL with 20 total assists. And Andy, I want to ask you a little bit about Game 2. I'm sure you watched it. Overtime contest. Windsor Express overcame a 17-point deficit in the second quarter and are your Session B GBSL champions.
It's funny because that Windsor team is by far the best team we've seen here.
Really?
In my opinion, at GBSL 16. But I was really impressed with the pros that are on that Southern Stars team. I'm talking about Marcel Anderson. I'm talking about Jesse Morgan. Those guys, the way they handle themselves, the way they pick out their spots, and the way they execute. Marcel Anderson scored in some big situations, and that dunk, my goodness. Hashtag Global Basketball on Twitter to find that dunk. Marcel Anderson, one of the plays of the tournament. It didn't come in a win, but one of the most competitive games and really a showcase of the talent that we bring in here to Las Vegas.
Yeah, you're not alone. Daniel and Sam on that call called that the dunk of the week here in the GBSL, and I guess I'm going to have to just ride the bandwagon here as Windsor Express are your Session B GBSL champions, despite playing against the GBSL scoring champion, Jesse Morgan, we'll talk more about later. Wild shot and the baseline by Tyler Harris. That's no good. Both teams missing their first shots here in the second quarter. Blaman tries again and nails it. His foot was on the line, so the score will be tied at 28 apiece here to start the second quarter.
And we've seen a large number of long twos in this tournament as a result of a lot of guys making that jump from either college or semi-pro leagues to this NBA format. We've seen a lot of guys used to being in a spot that's a 3, but now is a 2. And it does take some time to adjust, and we've seen that quite often here at Summer League.
That's why we see a couple of these guys that are normally lethal from beyond the arc. Their three-point shooting numbers in this tournament aren't nearly what they should be, simply because of that extension. 3 feet makes a load of a difference when shooting the basketball. Joshua Blaman, wild drive, but he still draws the foul. That'll go on Aaron Bacote of MR Sports.
And I'll say this too, even if you don't shoot well in this tournament, that's fine as long as you play within a team context, aren't gunning for yourself, you play solid defense, you do all the little things, and at the end of the day, you have a large sample size the coaches still can go to with your season and your career in college or overseas.
As Joshua Blaman drills in the 3-point play to give Pointstreak a 31-28 lead. And Andy, just to piggyback off your point, I would say one of the best players we've seen in this tournament is Oliver Ellison, who isn't going to put up 20 points a game, but he just dominated the boards. He led all GBSL players with 15 rebounds a contest. And if I were an NBA scout or another professional scout, he would be one of the guys I'm talking to first.
Yeah, Oliver Ellison out of Howard. It was a really unique team that Coach Gil Kislick had, with 2 6'10" guys, and Ellison showed that he was a really mobile, versatile defender, and I certainly think that he has a career waiting for him after this camp as well.
Now, Oliver Ellison will be one of several players we'll talk about at halftime here from the Doolittle Community Center. That's coming up. 8:22 left to go before then here in the second quarter, with Pointstreak up 33-28. And Andy, Pointstreak, the men in blue, are on a 7-0 run. And one of the great things about this run is that Pointstreak is doing a good job hanging on to the basketball. As mentioned earlier, this is a team that has struggled with the turnovers so far. 46, in fact, through 2 games, but still a very valiant effort for this team on the defensive end. We've got a good one on hand, at least so far. Nick Rice, Andy Stanko from the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada.
And you hear MR Sports calling out a horn set. That's a very common NBA set. A couple of high screens to get an offense started and allow you to get things moving.
Yeah, from watching the college game earlier this year to transitioning to this, we see a lot more, at least I do notice, a lot more NBA-style offenses, and also teams most certainly looking a little bit more like the NBA on the defensive end. After the turnover by Blaman, Aaron Bacote will slow it down. For MR Sports, they trail by 3. Tyler Harris jacks up a 3 for the tie. That one's no good. And Josh Blaman skies for the rebound.
Tyler Harris is in a situation where he wants to prove that he can knock down that 3, but at the same time he's still yet to hit one during this tournament. So you're sort of in a catch-22 in that situation where you know you can do it. It's just, here's another one.
Tyler Harris 0 for 6 from 3 in the first 2 games, and now 0 for 2 here. So do the math. It's been a rough showing for him shooting the basketball, despite this man averaging 23 points a game.
23 and 15 in his only appearance back in day number 1. So a very solid day. He put up good numbers in the SEC and hoped to get drafted. But there certainly was something that kept him from going in the NBA draft, and that could be his range.
And he's also perfect in this tournament from the free throw line. So extend that a couple more feet, and he could really make a big impact. Beautiful slam from Frank Snow, and he's now getting into a rhythm with Pointstreak having their largest lead. They're up 7.
Oh, I love when that happens. When a big guy runs the floor, always be sure to reward him, keep him engaged and going defensively as well.
Yeah, that's got to be a major factor in a big man's ability to score. If you're not involved for quite a bit of the game, it can be very tough to get into a rhythm.
But you're also expected to still defend your position and help block shots and protect the rim and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. You sort of need that maintenance and those touches to stay interested and involved mentally.
I think that might be part of the reason why Dwight Howard struggled as much as he did with Houston. He's just had very few touches.
Sure.
Frank Snow off to a good start here. If I'm not mistaken, he's got 6 points so far.
6 for Snow, 6 for Hall as well.
And the big men have certainly done wonders for Pointstreak, who leads 37-30. And what's even more spectacular is that their leading scorer is not Emmanuel Gunfalou, who usually takes over a basketball game and can score at will. Pointstreak 37, the men in blue over the men in whites. MR Sports, they've got 31 points on the board. 6:20 left to go before halftime. And Frank Snow in rhythm has now got another. That is another long 2 for Frank Snow. Give him 2 more points, he's got 8. Alex Matola kicks out to the corner. Tyler Harris pumps, now spins inside, pumps again, and his floater is good.
And Harris has shown an ability to get to the basket and use the size around the rim. I would say back off him. Make him shoot over you and show off the jumper.
Emmanuel Gunfalou, his baseline jumper is good.
And there's a guy who can face up and shoot a jumper as well.
Yeah, his range not as much of a question a Gunfalou is. He also leads the team averaging 8.5 rebounds a contest. We've got a battle of bigs that have really played well so far, at least in the second. Tyler Harris, the other big, he misses. And nearly is able to snare his own rebound, but he stepped on the sideline. That'll be a turnover for MR Sports. And we've got our under 6 media timeout here from the Doolittle Community Center. Nick Rice, Andy Stanko on hand here from Las Vegas, Nevada. Also recapping the action earlier today, Finland Select pulling off a very narrow 93-91 victory over D Las Vegas. And, of course, Finland Select well in control of that game. They've got to be in the running of maybe the next best team in this Session B so far. It was a great day 3 here from this tournament, and we've got more on hand here as we get going with the second quarter.
And at the end of the day, a bunch of teams still finish with 2 wins, at least 1 win, and look impressive doing it. And I think it's been a nice job for the most part of distributing talent in a way where teams can be very competitive, guys can go at each other, and especially the pinnacle of that was the championship game where we've seen a couple of times the intensity really just ratchet up, and all of a sudden we're in the middle of a regular season rivalry game or sort of a postseason intensity. And the fact of the matter is these guys are competing at a high level because jobs are on the line. People are watching, and people who matter are watching, even more importantly.
And I'm sure one thing that head coach Rickey Cleveland, the man in charge of Pointstreak, is playing for, he's hoping to play for at least the 5th place or at least the top at least a 2-win tournament season in each of Session A and Session B. This man won the championship in Session A, and he's hoping to at least get bragging rights here in Session B.
And this is a Pointstreak team, too, that held a big lead over Finland Select, 13 points at the half. The game was tied going into the fourth, and Finland Select perhaps the best comeback in the second half that we've seen so far at this tournament. So this was a team that very much had a chance to go 2-0 in the first 2 days and just couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, to add to your point, they had a 17-point lead in that second quarter and coughed it up. Well, Blayman misses, but he's able to grab a steal. Beautiful hustle play by Blayman. However, that still may end up in a backcourt violation and will, so it will head back over to Pointstreak, who leads by 8, 41-33, as we hit the under 5-minute mark here in the second quarter.
And these refs are on top of it in terms of the calls and explanation for the calls, front court, back court. It is really nice to get a fresh officiating crew for every game, which is something you won't get at a lot of these other events that are held in the area during this time frame, and it's really a part of what sets global basketball apart.
Emmanuel Gunflew inbounds, finds Frank Snow, who pumps and is fouled. That'll go on Jordan Green, the 6'7", 200-pounder who we haven't heard much of today.
Which is surprising because he's a guy who can shoot it. Hit 3 threes in the first half of yesterday's game, but he can go hot and he can go cold. Went scoreless in the second half, so but certainly a good talent here.
Yeah, he is one of the better three-point shooters in this tournament, 60% from beyond the arc, averaging 5.5 points per game. Frank Snow drills the first free throw, and his second is good as well. Pointstreak with their largest lead. They're up by 10. MR Sports, they were red hot from beyond the arc to start the game. 3 for 3 from three-point range by Bryce Presley to start. And he has double digits as of now, but it hasn't been enough. They trail by 10. Presley spinning. He'll go to work again. Tough fadeaway jumper. That's short. And Emmanuel Gunflew grabs another rebound. Up ahead to Samaje Ainge. He's been somewhat quiet today and tries to fit it in traffic on a pass to the baseline. And a loose ball foul will go on MR Sports as well. That should be on Cameron Bennerman. 4:26 left to go here, second quarter. Again, the score 43-33 in favor of Pointstreak, the men in blue. Frank Snow pumps. He has already made a couple long-range jumpers, but misses the layup. But Gunflew grabs the rebound, and his baseline jumper is just outside. And the rebound's picked up by Cameron Bennerman again. He's got a couple of those so far. Rifles the pass to the corner. Back to Bennerman. Good ball movement here. Off the high screen, Bennerman launches along two. That's too strong. And the rebound's picked up by Blackwell. Gunflew will lean in traffic, is poked away, and he turns it over. That's a rare turnover for Gunflew.
Even with the turnover, a very quick first step on display, able to get around his defender almost immediately. And there wasn't any flash to it at all. It was just a jab step, and he was gone.
I'm sure, Andy, you noticed there were 3 players guarding Gunflew. That's the sort of respect that he demands on a nightly basis. Wild pass and a turnover by Cameron Bennerman. And that's a rare sighting for MR Sports. I'm sure you've noticed this team ranks second best in the tournament with just 12 turnovers a game. They're very careful with the basketball.
Yeah, they are. The problem with them is the fact that they don't have a go-to scorer or a volume shooter sort of guy, and they do take a good care of the basketball.
Josh Blayman, that jumper was overdue. That'll be a long 2 for Blayman. A rough start for him scoring, but he finally gets one to go. The baseline jumper the other way by Jordan Green. That's no good. 3:15 left to go here in the second quarter, and Pointstreak has controlled this period. They lead 45-33. Frank Snow posting up. He'll back away and lays up a brick.
I don't know if that's what you want to see out of a big guy in that situation. Go to the rim, use a post move rather than falling away.
Well, he's made a couple of long-range 2s, and his teammate Corey Blackwell will score the other way. If that was Doug Anderson of Session A, that is a tomahawk dunk.
Would have been showtime. And really, if you can throw it down in this sort of format, I would say go for it. Show this guys what you can do.
That may be more impressive than knocking a 3 or grabbing a big rebound. And that three is no good as well. Cameron Bennerman, along with the rest of his teammates, have been pretty ice cold in the second quarter from three-point range. Wild shot and a foul. Samanje Ainge, interesting shot selection on that drive to the basket, but he draws the foul anyways. That'll go on Jordan Green of MR Sports. Well, it's been a discouraging second quarter for MR Sports. They have only scored, Andy, 7 points since the end of the first quarter. Part of the reason why they trail by 14.
And the fact that it's a problem is because Pointstreak has scored 21 points in the same time frame, and Pointstreak has really gotten things going, especially underneath. Frank Snow is showing out in the second quarter, 8 points of his own, and it all started with getting him a ball in transition for an easy layup, and then all of a sudden the floodgates open. He's knocking down jumpers. He's getting to the free throw line. And it is the last day, and we already know some names. Gumfalo, who's been huge this whole week, but it's a chance for someone else to emerge, like we saw in the championship game. Deshaun Curtis sort of came out of nowhere and had 22 points, and I'm sure that made a good impression coming through in the championship game. So every day is a new opportunity to prove yourself in front of these scouts, agents, coaches, general managers.
Well, for Pointstreak, I would argue it's been about man by committee. Everyone's been getting involved for them. As for MR Sports, you talked about guys stepping up like Bakota in the last game. So far today, I've been very impressed with the 6'5" big and Bryce Presley, where he was off to a hot start, and he hasn't really cooled off much ever since.
And Presley's a guy who's been doing this for a while and had an established role at Portland State where he made over 100 starts for the team and averaged 14, 5, and 2. And so now he's looking to make that jump, and he seems to fit well with this group.
Samanje Ainge of Pointstreak knocks down the first free throw. He's got one more coming up. Bryce Presley, who we were talking about, obviously much improved shooting effort today, as he's already in double figures, but he already leads the team with 5 assists per contest. So he's got an all-around great game. 1.5 steals per contest as well. Loose ball foul go on Samanje Ainge of Pointstreak. Not too many team fouls so far. In fact, our scoreboard
really
reads
clean game.
5 team fouls the entire quarter for both teams combined. That's it. So we may not see too many free throws in this basketball game. Nearly a 5-second violation on the inbound, but it finds Jordan Green, who tucks inside, and the left-hander's good. Delay of game warning will go on MR Sports. It's coached by Nino's son Filippo of Italy. He led his team to a victory by 8 points over Scouting for You yesterday. However, this may be his toughest challenge so far. Pointstreak up by a large margin, 52-35. MR Sports' offense has been nowhere to be found in this quarter. Presley dishes down low to Giovanni Robinson, who hops inside and missed the layup. That's a rare miss for the big man Robinson. Blayman in transition. He finds Corey Blackwell, back to Blayman, who stands at the top of the three-point line with 9 to shoot. Driving against Matola, tries to draw the foul, couldn't. Over to Blackwell, and the lay-in by Hall is good. 19-point lead. This next 113 is going to be very important for MR Sports. Matola controls. Giovanni Robinson posting up on Hall, and his hook shot is no good. And Corey Blackwell grabs the rebound. Only 9 points for MR Sports in this quarter. What a defensive effort by the men in blue, Pointstreak, who have got 54 points on the board and may have even more. Kenny Hall will go to the free throw line. My apologies, he will not. No, he will. My apologies. It was the first foul under 2 minutes, but he was in the act of shooting. Kenny Hall, when you just look at him, this is a man amongst boys, a skyscraper on that Pointstreak roster, but he missed the first free throw a bit too strong. 54-35. MR Sports is going to need a Herculean-type effort from nearly everyone on their roster if they hope to come back now down 20. 45 seconds left to go, second quarter, in a game that started off very, very entertaining but has now turned into a blowout. A discrepancy of 19 between the shot and game clock. Cameron Bennerman's long two is no good. Samaje Ainge will be credited with the rebound, and we've got a whistle and a stop. One of the rare scoreboard malfunctions today. I think, given the situation, I think us here and behind the scenes trying to figure out the stats, figure out the scoreboard and shot clock have done a fine job. Now only 7 seconds between the shot and game clock, and yet another foul that'll go on Matola. Joshua Blaman, who is a near 90% free throw shooter in this tournament, 9 for 11 so far, will be right back at the free throw line.
Josh Blaman, D3 stand-up, Stockton University, and before that was a very good Division III player. 17-6, his average as a senior.
And the first free throw is good. Blaman averaging 14 points and 5 rebounds in this tournament, shooting 50% from the field and 60% from beyond the arc. Not half bad. Pointstreak trailed by as many as 5, but that was in the first quarter. It's been a far different story here in the second. They now lead by 22, 57-35, as the shot clock and the game clock are nearly identical. Alex Matola will try and milk as much clock as he can. Joshua Blaman riding all over him on defense. Matola will lean inside, kicks out, man's wide open. Jordan Green's three is no good, and the ball still finds the hands of Matola. 3 to shoot, down to 2. Jordan Green, wild 3. And that will end the first half here from the Doolittle Community Center. Boy, the MR Sports had a sensational first quarter from the field, but they have gone ice cold in the second. 9 points in the entire quarter, and it's a bad time also for their defense to give up nearly 30 in what was a quarter dominated by Pointstreak.
I'm not sure what to say. It's just MR Sports. You got that huge push in the first quarter from Bryce Presley, but what happens when you don't have that one guy who can get the ball and create his own shot, and whenever you need a basket, get you a basket? It always has to be someone stepping up and
right
into that spot, and it was Presley in the first quarter, and after that, no one really answered the call in the second. So we'll see. I think the talent is there for MR Sports. I think Bacote, Bennerman, Presley, as well as Harris and Jordan Green all have the ability to take over a quarter and really keep everything afloat, or they can play well in a team concept together and get things going as a group. But that quarter just not what you're trying to see for MR Sports.
What I'm reading from you, Andy, Nino Sanfilippo doing a fine job coaching, but you can only do so much with what you've got on your roster, which in some instances is pretty good. But as we see a couple of roster additions, guys changing the lineup, just your third game trying to figure out who your starters are and how many minutes guys play, it's been a tough showing right now for mainly this offense. Defensively, that second quarter left themselves in quite a hole, but 9 points will simply not get it done no matter who you got on your team. Well, we will step aside and return in just 3 minutes as we will continue Game 4 action here from Las Vegas.
Nice little group we got into.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
Well, MR Sports started the game with a frenetic three-point shooting frenzy. They just simply couldn't miss in that first quarter. But things really began to turn sideways for them in that second period, going 0 for 6 from 3. Welcome back to the Doolittle Community Center. We start the third quarter with Pointstreak up by 22 points. Nick Rice and Andy Stanko on hand here from Las Vegas, Nevada. Pointstreak has the ball to start the quarter, and they will maintain possession. Samaje Ainge lost it out of bounds. Well, Andy, obviously focusing on this MR Sports team, you know a lot about them, and as obviously any team trailing by this margin, it's tough to overcome, but is there any way this team can do it?
Well, if there is a way, it starts with defensively getting stops and not allowing the lead to get bigger on them, as Loatman's able to put in a rebound for 2. And no matter how good you are offensively, if the other team continues to score at the same rate, you're not going to get anywhere.
Well, MR Sports only had 9 points for an entire quarter, shooting 3 for 18 from the field in that quarter and 0 for 6 from the three-point line. And they get things going with a block down low by Frank Hall, and they commit a 24-second shot clock violation, which will be turnover number 8 for MR Sports. Pointstreak has only committed 5. 1 minute gone by in the third quarter. It's been all Pointstreak since the first quarter expired, and they may add on to it. A wide-open 3 by Julian Nelson is short, and the rebound's picked up for MR Sports as Cameron Bennerman, who's a very capable scorer, controls the basketball here. He finds Jordan Green. He lost it, but Matola puts it up and in. Well, Alex Matola, another one of those small players at point guard, but he can score when given the opportunities. Matola controls as well again for MR Sports. Jordan Green, the drive inside, and he nearly gets it to go, but draws the foul here. As MR Sports is frantically trying to come back, they still trail by 22.
I'm watching Jordan Green. He likes to take his time before he makes a decision when he catches it on the perimeter. He probably had an open 3 if he wanted it right off the catch, but instead took a dribble to gather himself and then decided to go to the basket. But he's got good enough skills to get some separation and get to the rim like he did there.
Jordan Green, 0 for 2 from the line going into this game. But he knocks down the first one there, and he's got one more coming up. Jordan Green, the man for MR Sports, a former Chad Run State forward, averaging 7 points and 4 rebounds during his senior season. He knocks down both free throws there. 59-39 here from the Doolittle Community Center. Again, Nick Rice and Andy Stanko on tap as Pointstreak with Samaje Ainge now in the lineup. They have scored from just about everywhere, and every player has made their impact in this game. Catch and toss to respond by Jordan Green, and he missed it short, but Bryce Presley snares the rebound. Hands off to Matola, and down low is Giovanni Robinson, and wide open again is Presley. The ball moved a heck of a lot around the cylinder. And after 2 straight misses by MR Sports in that possession, Pointstreak will take over. Well, we are beginning to see a blowout on our hands, at least early in the third quarter. Pointstreak can't miss, and MR Sports is struggling to find points. All of their big men have gone cold in this game. Count it, and a foul. Beautiful dunk by Kenny Hall, and a chance for a 3-point play. Alex Matola with a reach-in.
And if you got to show it off, Kenny Hall an ability to get up and finish in traffic, and that's something we can't say a lot of guys at this camp are able to do emphatically like that.
You just said the dunk from the championship game was the one of the week. Is there any competition with Kenny Hall's slam?
Oh, there's plenty of competition. I would say the situation, nice shot there on the baseline by Presley. The situation set Anderson's dunk apart, but Doug Anderson has had some great dunks. Ladarius Tabb as well, and a lot of athletic dudes have come out to GBSL 2016.
Yeah, I mean,
but the thing is, all of these guys who have the dunks, their games speak for themselves.
Right.
The Darius Tabbs, Hall, Marcel Anderson. It's been phenomenal.
Marcel Anderson is a certain surprise because he doesn't come close as far as the height category to some of those other guys.
But he got up and threw it down emphatically. Hashtag global basketball. Find that clip. It's crazy.
Yeah, that won't be the only clip you find with hashtag global basketball. You can catch all of the videos and highlights, news, and headlines from the entire week of this tournament at Global Basketball, summerleague.globalbasketball.com. Roger Lopman misses it short, partially blocked as well by Bryce Presley, and MR Sports will take over. A quick little rally here by MR Sports. They have trimmed the lead down to, at the moment, 14 points. 7:09 remains here in the third quarter.
You might have to do that math again.
Yeah, I think we easily will have to do that again. I'm sure they're wishing it was 14 points. Down 24 here to start the third quarter. Trying to bail them out at least a little bit. Nothing has gone right for MR Sports. This just appears to be a game, at least here in this period, that they just simply cannot come back from. A lot of teams can't down by this margin, and you add in quite a few guys just struggling from the field here in this game. Bryce Presley's been a good spark by this club and a chance for a three-point play for him as well. He may be the only player who scores the rest of this game. Presley's been off to yet another sensational performance. He's now, got 18, 19 points?
17 by my count, and 18 through the first two games combined. He seems to have found a comfort level that he had been missing in the first few games. 18 now for Presley.
Bryce Presley converts the three-point play, 65-44. After seeing nail-biter after nail-biter, and also our first overtime ball game of the entire tournament, we are in the midst of maybe the most lopsided game of the tournament. We've still got a long way to go. The putback is good by Giovanni Robinson, but a goaltend will go against the big man, and that is the epitome of what they have struggled with all day. They just do not seem to have the role.
Yeah, Betterman looking for his chance to throw one down and hanging on the rim with the ball in the cylinder. That's a no-go.
And another whistle. We've got a clock malfunction. 6:30 to go third quarter, 65-44. Pointstreak up by 21. They've led by as many as 24. Trying to figure this one out really quick. Well, as for the performance so far by Pointstreak, Andy, I would say they've had quite a few great performances. Right now, from what we've seen, this has got to be the most impressive quarter and a half I've seen by maybe any club. It has been about as lopsided as you can get on the stat sheet and on the scoreboard for this team since the end of the first quarter.
I would point to Windsor Express over Finland Select yesterday in the 4 o'clock game. The 4 o'clock games especially just haven't been competitive here in Session B. Windsor Express 98-74 winners on day 1, 91-61 winners on day 2. For whatever reason, the guys in the late game, usually one team really shows up and the other team not so much.
Well, maybe I'd argue usually one team is coming off of a shorter rest than the other, because quite a few times the first may play at 10 in the morning and the other at 2 or 4 in the afternoon. Does maybe that have something to do with it?
I would hope that wouldn't be affecting athletes like these, and the fact of the matter is they are in Vegas. There's a lot of distractions available, and in a conversation I had today with Coach Rickey, it's about being mature. You can have a good time, but be in at a reasonable hour, because at the end of the day, you're here to play basketball. This is a job interview. It's time to act like it.
It is very, very fascinating. I've noticed these players, for the most part, have been incredible as far as being able to handle the stress and the temptations here at Las Vegas. From what I've seen, not too many players at all roaming the casinos after these games are over every day.
Yeah. And if they do, that's fine. It's just we don't want to see you there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. But to not see them there at all is certainly a testament to these players' character, and I'd say most importantly, their will to reach the professional level, because quite a bit of their future could just ride in this tournament, and also quite a few of these players, how they respond in the next 552. Because if you're looking at this MR Sports roster, I think seeing some of these players in a positive light, I'd like to see guys other than Presley, maybe like a Jordan Green, who's a big man, Alonzo Nelson Adota as well, guys that I may have initially thought were incredible, but where are they in this game, at least in the last 15 minutes?
And I would look to the guard play. Bacote and Bennerman are two guys who have been very steady during this tournament, especially coming off a win yesterday in which they were both very good. And a lot of that's predicated on making the plays that are there, making good decisions, and doing it defensively, which has been really a struggle. Pointstreak's been lighting them up on the scoreboard.
Well, to start what they hope, a comeback, Aaron Bacote, Giovanni Robinson, Jordan Green, Bryce Presley, and Devonta Lewis will be the five on the floor for MR Sports. As for Pointstreak, they will go with Kenny Hall, Roger Lopman, along with Josh Blaman, Yuri Leith, and Samaje Ainge. That will be the five on the floor for Pointstreak. The first free throw by Bryce Presley is no good. A chance to cut the lead down to 20, but he missed that one as well. But an offensive rebound picked up by Giovanni Robinson, who then turns it over. Lopman to the basket, sidesteps and lays it in. Beautiful move by Lopman. That'll be the third basket of the ball game for the point guard. Lopman and just about everyone else on the team has made a big impact on the offensive end. Kenny Hall is pushed away, but still snares the rebound. And they will push the pace again. Samaje Ainge to the rack. Count it, and a foul. Another three-point opportunity. Pointstreak is running away in transition.
Oh, Samaj, certainly an athletic guy. Did you see the elevation off that second step off the left foot? Able to change speeds and then explode. He's a guy who plays in the APBL and was the league MVP of the APBL. So someone who in the semi-pro ranks is as good as it gets.
Andy, I don't know how much basketball you've played, but to hop off of your left foot like that, if you're a right-hander, that's probably a much tougher play than it looks visually. And Samaje Ainge, just like many of these players in this tournament, have been able to go airborne and make some of the most emphatic dunks that I've seen in quite some time. MR Sports has it. 5 minutes gone by here in the third. Bryce Presley draws the foul on Yuri Leith of Pointstreak. One of the few fouls committed today by either club, as Alonzo Nelson Adota, the 6'9" forward, checks in for Giovanni Robinson. Bryce Presley, despite his team behind by 25, I would say maybe in the running for the game ball when this one's all said and done. He's been a dominant force on both ends of the floor. Nelson Adota kicks out, and he'll get credited with the assist as Cameron Bennerman hits it from downtown. Actually, his foot was on the line. Still a long, very much needed jumper by MR Sports that will be credited as a three-pointer. 4:30 left to go here in the third. Cameron Bennerman works through traffic, kicks it outside. That finds Yuri Leith, and he turns it over. They've got numbers, and Cameron Bennerman is hacked and fouled. Both teams not afraid to run the floor and draw some very hard fouls. Guys have hit the deck. Guys have, as we see, getting cuts and bruises, yet unafraid to do it again. It's been an impressive effort by these teams despite the score here in this ball game. 69-47. We were deadlocked at 26 apiece at the end of the first quarter. Then it's been all Pointstreak ever since. Yeah, do the math. Pointstreak has outscored MR Sports since that first quarter by a combined 43-21. That has been the major difference. Roger Lopman snares the rebound after another missed free throw. Even free throw attempts are going down for MR Sports. Beautiful drive by Yuri Leith, but his wild shot is no good. Rebound picked up by Alonzo Nelson, Adota, and another foul.
It would have been beautiful if he started it a lot closer to the rim. He was sort of stuck in no man's land around the free throw line and no dribbles. And should I shoot? Should I pass? Oh no, I'm falling, and just sort of throws it towards the rim. Under control.
This has been one of the few bad plays I would contest of the ball game for Pointstreak. Aaron Bacome will just try a three, and that one's no good as well. This team has gone ice cold from beyond the arc since the end of the first quarter. Yuri Leaf, he gets pushed and fouled. That'll go on Aaron Bacote.
And that's a relatively new wrinkle in the rule book where you have to clear the shooter. You have to give him space for him to land. Oh, pardon me, it was an flick on the elbow.
I've got to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of it. What about you?
Well, if you get touched.
Yeah.
And just the littlest touch can something as precise as a shooting stroke can push it off and out of whack.
Even after the ball has already been flicked well out of the hand of the shooter?
Then just don't touch him afterwards. You should be closing out under control, and if you're out of control, it should be a foul.
This game has certainly changed in favor of the offenses as we see teams by the likes of Golden State and the NBA and even Oakland of college putting together some monstrous numbers. Whew. We've also seen a team like the Citadel put up huge numbers on the offensive end, taking advantage of the new rules that favor that side of the basketball. 72-50, and MR Sports just cannot buy a basket in this period. Alonzo Nelson Adota misses, and yet again, that time Corey Blackwell responds.
He's having a day in transition. My goodness.
Our next stop will be our under 3 media timeout here in the third quarter. Mazzola hesitates. He's got a good look, so he'll take it, but missed it short. MR Sports has gone on a 2-minute long scoring drought. Roger Lopman catches and travels. 2:47 left to go in the third quarter, and Pointstreak is in command. They're up by 24. We're set for a fourth quarter in which MR Sports may start using their bench and may start going to other guys, hoping to at least make this one a bit more competitive down the stretch.
And well, that's one thing in this tournament that I wouldn't say there's a huge disparity in terms of your talents, either starting or coming off the bench. You want to give guys good runs of at least 6 minutes to really see what they can do. But as far as you look at the minutes breakdown for the most part in this tournament, guys are getting anywhere between 18 and 24 minutes for the most part, with in the winner's bracket some certain guys playing more minutes than others. But here in a game in which it's for fifth place, a chance for guys to evaluate and get seen, I would imagine relatively consistent minutes across the board for just about everyone.
We've seen some good performances by players in this game and players overall in this 6-day tournament. One man that I want to point out, Sterling Smith, played at Pitt as a senior, and I would give, for Session A, my game ball. The 25 points, 4 of 6 shooting from 3, and 16 rebounds in their D Las Vegas' championship victory. And Sterling Smith was great all the way around. As for a man in Session B, Jesse Morgan, I'd like to give some love, along with the Gunfaloo. He's been solid. And Gunfaloo has been, interestingly enough, one of the few players that hasn't had a huge impact. It's been a quiet 18 points for him. Usually he can dominate a game like the 27 he put up yesterday. Wild drive by Corey Blackwell, but it will stay with Pointstreak. The trigger man is Julian Nelson of Pointstreak. Joshua Blayman misses on the 3. Pointstreak has shot nearly 60% for the game. Turnovers have been down, and when that happens, this team can be so lethal from just about anywhere on the floor. Devondo Lewis's 3 is no good. And yet again, Pointstreak limiting MR Sports to one-and-done possessions on nearly every trip down the floor. Corey Blackwell pumps, floats it inside, and that pass is tipped by MR Sports. It will stay with Pointstreak with 7 to shoot. 1:44 left to go in the third quarter. It's been all Pointstreak, and it looks like they will not be looking back. Agunfulu gets doubled. We'll see what he can do. Kicks out to Blackwell. His three is no good, but it wouldn't have counted anyways. Shot clock violation, one of the few turnovers for Pointstreak in this game. Overall solid performance by Bryce Presley. He's put together a fine ball game to close out this tournament. That's usually what can help you win your way onto a roster. Lasting impressions. And Bryce Presley made a very good one. The drive by Aaron Bacote. And Pointstreak had that one covered yet again. Tyler Harris, he's a capable scorer. He'll check in, 23 points in the last game. Their win over the Southern Stars. Not quite the same situation here. Tyler Harris pumps, now works inside, and his layup hits not even the rim. Rebound picked up by Julian Nelson. Agunfulu's shot is up and good. This team, Pointstreak, well, if it weren't for their loss against Finland Select, who themselves are a very talented bunch, then Pointstreak very easily could be our Session B champions. But they are just that good, as we have showcased here. Are on pace to score over 100 points for the game. Josh Blaman trots across the timeline. Works through traffic, tries to feed to Agunfulu, but it's picked off by Alex Matola. Kicks out to Presley, and his three-pointer is up and no good. Couldn't get the roll. Blaman the rebound. Up ahead to Nelson, and he turns it over as well. 34 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Pointstreak 76. MR Sports 54. Alex Matola's wild pass is a turnover. That really just looks a lot like their offense since the first. It just has been completely out of sync. Josh Blaman off the screen. Leans in, nearly throws it away. Picked up by Snow. He'll launch along two and buries it. "17 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. To imagine, it's hard to imagine we've got an entire fourth quarter left to go, Andy.
That's true. 79 points. You've got a chance to challenge for over 100, if not the record. I think it's 112 here this week.
I think MR Sports is certainly capable of not letting that happen, as the sky hook by Nelson Adota is no good. And as the third quarter horn sounds, that shot is good, but it doesn't count. 10 minutes left to go in what's been a blowout. Pointstreak and MR Sports were tied at 26. Their three-point shooting, though, by MR Sports has gone ice cold. It feels like they haven't made a three since the end of the first quarter. 10 minutes left to go. Pointstreak 78. MR Sports 54. Nick Rice and Andy Stanko on tap here from the Doolittle Community Center. It's been a very fun six-day tournament. You take a look at all of our barn burners, a game that went into overtime for the Session B championship. And this has just been an opportunity for not only the players but also us as well to make our mark and really, while this may not be the NBA D-League, this does not feel like a whole lot different.
I would say it certainly is a higher level of basketball than I'm accustomed to seeing in D3 and high school. And watching Summer League at the NBA last night, there certainly are some more heralded guys, but there's a lot of talent to be tapped into in terms of NAIA guys who played perhaps an extra year or two because of spending some time in JUCO. JUCO situations, and other guys who are just really good players that play either semi-professionally. Samaj comes to mind. Cameron Betterman, who's been 10 years now into the overseas scene. There's a lot of good basketball being played just outside of the mainstream D1 that you think of when you think of prospects.
And you talk about Betterman and Presley and some of these guys, Gunfaloo comes to mind. So if you thought the Global Basketball Summer League was a very selective league, the NBA is even that much more selective. But if you're looking at maybe the top echelon of talent here at the GBSL, is there anybody who you say has a legitimate chance of working its way not just into a D-League roster, but a real NBA roster playing minutes in the regular season?
It's hard to say here and now. I would say there's still growth that needs to be made. I know there's been some inquiries, and we've had scouts from the Mavericks and Rockets come in to watch guys. So
really?
Yes,
wow,
for sure. I spoke with a Mavericks scout. We had Sam speak with a Rockets scout earlier today. And so they're here. They're looking around. If you can play, they're going to find you. I can't pinpoint a guy exactly, but certainly there are, depending on the team needs, there are guys to fill those needs.
And speaking of the Houston Rockets, a guy like Corey Brewer, who didn't play much at all other than on D-League rosters, halfway through the season, got a call. He was playing overseas, was Corey Brewer, and now he is arguably one of the most reliable scorers for the Houston Rockets. You look at guys like Hassan Whiteside, who were bounced around the league. All of a sudden, a man who was formerly considered raw and didn't have the skill to make it in the NBA is now one of those highly coveted bigs that the Heat were very, very fortunate and very smart they were able to retain. And it seems like in the Global Basketball Summer League, it seems very similar. Maybe these guys are a couple of years away from making a big impact. We're just seeing the start of what these players are able to do.
Well, we've had guys go on to play in the ACB in Spain, play in the Olympics next month. We've got a member of the Nigerian national team who played here. We've had guys like the MVP of this tournament a season ago win a championship in Argentina. There's certainly the talent and the know-how and the willpower to go on and do those things. And everyone you talk to says that the competition gets better and better every year. This Session B group is as good as it's been throughout the years that this has been going on, and we're 9 years deep at this point. So sky's the limit for this event, and in terms of the way these players can get exposed to international markets and make a living playing basketball, which at the end of the day, that's the goal.
Right. I've got to be honest with you. We've charmed all the time about some of these guys and just how tough it is to make the NBA, but something tells me this man, Emmanuel Gunfaloo from Bolivia, doesn't put up the most gaudy numbers. 12 points per game there, only 18 points per game here. We say only 18 points per game. But Emmanuel Gunfaloo feels like a man who can make it onto an NBA roster. 6'7", 220 pounds, and he can score, he can defend, and he also leads his team in rebounds as well. He's a very capable player, in my opinion, who can be at least a man who makes it onto an NBA roster.
It'll be challenging at his position and his size. There are lots of talented guys there. But certainly, you've got time to grow and develop and improve as a player. It's not a bad thing to aim your sights high, to say.
Another capable man, Corey Blackwell, knocks down the fadeaway jumper. Nick Rice, Andy Stanko on tap here from the Doolittle Community Center. We are less than 7 minutes away from the final game of the GBSL tournament, and it's been all one-sided. Pointstreak up 82-64, and they've got the basketball as well. We want to thank all the folks who have tuned in throughout the entirety of the Global Basketball Summer League. We have seen some barn burners. We just witnessed a game that went to overtime in a Session B championship, which was won by Windsor Express. Emmanuel Gunfaloo has now eclipsed 20 points as he knocks down the long two-pointer. 84-64 is Pointstreak on top. Step back jumper by Tyler Harris. And I'd hate to see him go scoreless from three-point range for the entire tournament. He does knock down the 2, but I think us here in the booth are rooting for Tyler Harris to make a 3, at least to get one of them in this tournament.
It's funny because his skills are very good in just about every other aspect of the game. Just can't buy one from beyond the arc at this point.
He's 0 for 9. Let's get him the basketball here. Mottola brings it across the timeline. 5:39 left to go in the fourth. Harris is open. Let's take it. That's a three-pointer for Harris. Instead, he'll work his way inside. Spins, nearly lost the ball. Kicks to Mottola. Wild shot. It rims out, but a foul. That'll go on Josh Blaman of Pointstreak. And we will take our under 6 media timeout. Tyler Harris, he's got the potential to go on a run. Does Coach keep him in the game here?
I think so. In terms of his time, we didn't see a lot of him in the third quarter, so with the rotations that these coaches are doing, a lot of it has to deal with going in and out with the media timeouts and getting a reasonably even amount of time for a lot of these guys, especially in a game, a fifth-place game where nothing's really on the line other than getting out and showcasing your stuff.
And other than if Pointstreak just elects to let MR Sports win, this is a victory for Pointstreak. It just depends on how many points they happen to win by. So this will mark the 5th victory in 6 games by head coach Rickey Cleveland. And the one game he lost, his team led by 17 points, and they just so happened to commit 27 turnovers. You can blame turnovers on a coach all you want. In that game, it felt like Rickey Cleveland coached his team to win, that they just did not have the shooting or didn't have the mental makeup to win that game. Just a weird day in which they lost. But other than that, as far as coach of this tournament, I mean, he's got to be right up there amongst the best.
Actually, I've been really impressed with the coaching in this tournament, especially the foreign guys coming in. Coach Gill, Coach Miko, just to name a few, have been really good. Coach
Manu.
Coach Manu. They've all been very good with connecting with players. They've been teachers of this game and have helped them certainly make connections in that country and add to their games a little bit as well.
Fadeaway jumper by Kenny Hall. That one's short. The coaching in this game has been very solid despite the score differential, 86-67, a 19-point lead. That's a long 2 for Harris, and that one rims out as well. Looking at Tyler Harris's stat line after the game, I don't think it tells the full story. He's had a pretty solid performance other than his shooting. The kick out to the corner for Snow, who buries it from deep. That'll be a 2-pointer for Frank Snow, and they're up by 22 here midway through the fourth. Mottola kicks over to Bakode, and he double dribbles. Pointstreak does not have some of their long gunners in the game, but Emmanuel Gunfalo is in. Samaje Ainge's double, hands off to Josh Blaman, and he drills it from the free throw line. 91-67 Pointstreak in command. Tyler Harris standing at the three-point line. We'll see if they give him the basketball. If I were Harris, I'd jack up a 3 every time I touch it. He's got it right now. Bakode charges with the basketball. 3 straight possessions for MR Sports. That results in a turnover. They don't even get a chance to jack up a shot. So we've got the final 4:07 left to go here in Game 4 of the GBSL tournament. After that, this will be just about it. And Andy, I also asked you, after this tournament, what is there left to do? And you responded, there's plenty to do here for not only the players, but the coaches as well.
Unfortunately, no summer league tonight. That's all I'm saying.
Oh. Can you watch that summer league with the players that I can't recognize?
What's that?
Other than D'Angelo Russell, quite a few players that I can't even recognize.
Oh, I had a good time at the venue. I saw the Lakers, so the numbers were very good, and the crowd was pretty electric for a game in July.
Yeah. I saw Ben Simmons in game number 2 nearly put up a triple-double, so he's been obviously off to a hot start. Agunfulu with a chance for a three-point play. I don't think there's any coincidence that I mentioned Ben Simmons and Agunfulu at literally the same exact time. But
easy. Easy.
Hey, it's been the Agunfulu show today. He misses the free throw. That'll be just the second miss for him from the line in the tournament. Tyler Harris for 3, and that's too strong. But the rebound picked up by MR Sports. That was Bryce Presley who snared it. Over to Jordan Green. Harris will see if they can knock it down this time. His long 2 is good. 98-71. This score not indicative of MR Sports and just how competitive they were in the first quarter and the fact that they just simply could not hit shots. Frank Snow, who drills a 3, has been part of a rally in which they seem to make just about every shot. The record for points in this tournament is 112. Pointstreak and MR Sports were tied at 26, and now Pointstreak up by 30. They've got 101 points on the board.
MR Sports led after the first quarter, 28-26.
Oh, they did lead after the first quarter. That's right. They were up by 2.
It's just been downhill ever since.
2:26 left to go. Only thing we're looking for is if Pointstreak can set a points record. And I think, Andy, other than that, this is obviously not the close ball game we were hoping to close out this tournament on, but well, I've had such a good time here. And not only us here in the media, but I think just about everyone involved. This was just an amazing experience for everyone here in this tournament.
I'd say it's a great learning experience for all parties involved, a great chance for everyone here, players, coaches, officials, event staff, to grow and continue to progress in their own ways, in their own careers, and I really have enjoyed it as well.
(101-71) is the score in favor of Pointstreak. Their head coach was a Session A champion here in the GBSL, and boy, by this performance, he might as well be crowned the champion for Session B as well. Wild shot by Cameron Bennerman's no good. Emmanuel Agunfulu, that's a long 2, and it rims out. 2:09 left to go here in the fourth quarter. Another miss, that time by Giovanni Robinson. Frank Hall trying to run the floor, and he gets grabbed inside by Jordan Green. And now he'll head to the charity stripe with under 2 to go here in the ball game. It's kind of weird saying after this one there's no more games coming up. This is it. 24 games we have competed over 6 days with over 60 players involved and plenty of coaches from in the Americas and also overseas here at the Doolittle Community Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. Andy, any plans for after this one's all said and done?
I'm going to eat.
You're not alone. Andy Matola controls from 5 feet beyond the three-point line. Jordan Green's 3 is no good. Picked up by Matola. He'll kick out to Bryce Presley, and he has been deadly from everywhere.
I've got 4 threes for Presley, 23 on the afternoon.
I know that just sounds weird to say, but I would say the best player on the floor today has been Bryce Presley, even though they're even though this may be a record for points they're going to give up.
Oof, it's tough to give someone that, you like to say, the game ball when you're down by 30 or 28 points. So to each his own, I'd say.
I've only felt this way a couple times. How did you feel with Andre Iguodala winning the MVP despite LeBron James scoring so many points in that game, in that finals?
That was a tough one. The precedent is to vote for the guy in the winning team more often than not, and that's the way it went. Oh! Frank Snow, hello.
Well, that backboard already broke once, or at least the pole that connects the backboard to the wall. And it almost broke again. Kenny Hall, that's his second slam of the contest. 104-77. And the alley-oop again to Hall. And it bounces out of bounds. You can see all the smiling faces on Samaje Ainge and everyone else.
We're in garbage time. It's official.
We've been in garbage time.
Yeah, but now we've gotten to that point in garbage time where alley-oops are so ridiculous. It's just like, okay.
Where the defense is wanting an alley-oop to happen. Bryce Presley, my goodness.
That's 6 threes now for Presley.
104-80, making this score look a lot better than what it did to start the quarter. The feed inside goes to Snow, and he won't even get a foul called. And Robinson lost it. All right, well, fans are certainly going to be entertained. We see some more dunks, I'm sure, coming up. Samaje Ainge across the timeline. He'll feed again, and this time Kenny Hall finishes. Let's see what MR Sports can respond with. A foul. As Cameron Bennerman will head to the free throw line.
That shot by Cameron Bennerman, it didn't count because the foul was on the floor, but man, look at that spin.
Yeah. Cameron Bennerman, another good performance for MR Sports. And he knocks down the first free throw. But most certainly, you've got to give Emmanuel Gunfalou a load of credit. Also, great all-around performances by a lot of these players. The defense was solid. The offense was unstoppable. 106-82. Little two-man game for Pointstreak. And they'll take it out of bounds after it was last touched by Cameron Bennerman of MR Sports. Catch and shoot for Roger Lotman. Missed it short, nearly snared his own rebound, but picked up by Cameron Bennerman. 23 seconds to go in the game. Bennerman's shot is good. He gets the and one this time and a chance for a three-point play. 106-84. This fourth quarter, at least the last 5 minutes, have actually been handled by MR Sports. Bennerman's free throw is good. Shot clock unplugged. Samaje Ainge for Pointstreak in quite possibly the last possession of the Global Basketball Summer League Tournament. 7 seconds to go, and what has been an entertaining tournament will come to an end. Pointstreak with a resounding win. Final score from the Doolittle Community Center. Pointstreak